You are listening to the CPA Moms podcast with Dawn Goldberg, CPA. This is episode number 106, How to Handle Other People's Opinions of You and Everything Else. Welcome to the CPA Moms podcast, the podcast where busy female accountants who also happen to be moms like you get practical support and solutions you need to have it all, a successful career and a happy family. If you are looking for the solution to overwhelm and mom guilt, if you'd like to feel better and have more balance, as well as learn how to take back control of your life, you've come to the right place. Hey there, welcome back to this week's show. Hope you had a great week, as usual. Before I get started, I just want to mention that as a member of the CPA Moms community, what you want for future member webinars, we do a webinar once a month, what you want and the days and the times that would be the most convenient for you are really, really important to us. And we had recently asked for our members' help in our weekly newsletter and in the private CPA Moms Facebook community. And we had gotten some wonderful feedback, but we want to know more. We want to hear from more of you. So if you are already a member of the CPA Moms community, please let us know whether you reply to the newsletter or whether you reply to the poll that we have in the Facebook group. We really want to know what's important to you. We want to provide as much value as we possibly can to our community, but we need your feedback. So, and to sweeten the pot just a little bit, not that we're above bribery, but those who do participate in giving us feedback are going to be entered into a raffle for an Amazon gift card. And who doesn't need that, especially with the holidays, about 2 months away? So please participate if you can. Just give us a shout. Let us know what's important to you. All right, so let's get started with this week's episode. So this is episode number 106, and the title is How to Handle Other People's Opinions of You and Everything Else. Now, let's start out by saying I think it would be fair to say that we live in a very divisive time right now, especially in the United States. Not only do so many people have opposing opinions about a lot of topics, from anything like childrearing to face masks to politics, but due to our technology-based world that we live in right now, those opinions are easily shared in ways that have never been possible before. And as the saying goes, I'm sure you've heard it, opinions are like assholes, everybody's got one, not to be crude, but it also seems like all of those opinions are causing more and more people to either feel attacked or to react by attacking back, whether it's someone's negative comment about a picture that you posted on Facebook, or it's your neighbor's political sign on their front lawn. Other people's opinions are more visible than ever before. Now, of course, it's important to be able to express yourself and to have your preferences, but unfortunately, instead of bringing us together or just being interesting, the barrage of opinions are tearing a lot of people apart instead of bringing us together. Children are suffering with bullying. Teenagers are being ostracized, and adults are lashing out or even ending relationships, all in the response to other people's opinions. And what was once easy to manage and deal with because there were fewer opinions expressed, often due to the limited number of people that you came in contact with on a daily basis, unfortunately has now become just a tidal wave of information. So let me give you an example. You probably didn't know or even care what your boss's views were on global warming, for example. But now his comments might be on your radar because of the exposure to so many people's opinions on the subject. And before you know it, without realizing it, his opinion might have you at odds with him in ways that weren't an issue before. All of a sudden, your easygoing interaction with him has become challenging, and his constructive feedback about your work performance seems off-putting or disconcerting. Maybe you always have had a respectful relationship with your mother-in-law, but you've started to notice her comments about how you're handling your children during the pandemic. You're noticing they're getting really frustrating, and it seems like she doesn't trust your judgment, and that maybe she's often commenting on things that you post on Facebook, but you're seeing it in a more passive-aggressive way. Unfortunately, the more opinions there are, whether they are about you or about everything else in the world, the more challenging it can become to navigate both in your personal and professional life. As an accountant and a mom, it's important to learn how to handle other people's opinions, as well as to be able to be an example and show your children this skill as well. And thankfully, just because you are more aware of other people's opinions doesn't mean that they have to be so challenging. There is a much better way to navigate the tricky waters that we're all in, where other people's points of views are much more visible and they're in our own line of sight. So this week I'm going to discuss how to handle other people's opinions of you, as well as how to handle other people's opinions of everything else. All right, so let's start with other people's opinions of you. And you've probably heard the expression, what you think of me is none of my business, but let's be honest, it can be difficult to handle other people's opinions of you, especially since it's become so much easier for people to share their opinions. Things like what you look like and what you do and what you say, as well as your own opinions of everything else, are now more exposed and open for judgment by others. Unfortunately, so many working moms spend their lives trying to control other people's opinions of them that they lose themselves in the process, right? They seek the validation of others in order to feel confident in themselves and in their abilities, which creates a lose-lose situation where they do or don't do things all for the sake of acceptance and approval. Maybe you've experienced this as well, where you were afraid of a few people's opinions, so you didn't go out and create what you genuinely wanted to create in the world. And instead you chose to play small, or you chose to stay put, not wanting to risk disapproval or rejection from others. It could be as simple as not getting that new haircut you admired on someone else for fear of what your partner or your girlfriends might think. Or it could be something big, like having a desire to be your own boss, but not taking the steps to make it happen because of what others might say when you need to fail your way to success. The interesting thing is that so many women hold themselves back based on their perception of other people's opinions, not necessarily their actual opinions. This often happens when no one has actually expressed any doubt or any judgment, but you believe you know what others will think, assuming that it won't be favorable. So you stop yourself from getting any imagined negative comments. So for me, after I had my second child, I was struggling with the idea of leaving my tax manager position at Ernst & Young and staying home for a few years to spend more time with my two young children. I was so worried about what other people would think about me walking away from my accounting career for a little bit. And I was especially worried about what my parents would think. So my perception was that they would be disappointed because they had helped me pay for my college education, and that they would try to convince me to figure out how to stay in my current highly sought after tax position. But the funny thing was that once I sat down and actually told my mom what I was thinking of doing, she was 100% on board and supportive of my decision. Now, of course, that's not always the case where your perception of someone else's opinion is wrong, but more often than not, that's exactly what happens. We actually project our own fears and concerns onto someone else, believing that they have to be having the same thoughts that we're having. And in order to better handle other people's opinions of you, you first have to get clear about your opinion of you. And that's going to be simple. You're just going to ask the question, what is my opinion of myself? And it might seem silly. It might sound like that's a silly question to ask. But I guarantee your answer probably has a lot of interesting layers to it. The reason it's so important to ask the question, what is my opinion of myself, is that when you have a firm foundation of self-confidence and you really like and respect who you are, other people's opinions won't be able to shake that foundation so much. When you feel confident and you show up authentically, other people's opinions of you are interesting, but they're not hurtful. As I shared before in a previous podcast, you can be the juiciest peach, but there are just going to be people who don't like peaches. And that's okay. When you can make peace with your quote unquote peachiness, if that's a word, and you let others decide whether they're a peach-loving person or not, you give up trying to change people in order for you to feel better. And for a lot of women, we are so concerned about other people's opinions of us that we often show up around people as inauthentic versions of us. We become like chameleons in various situations, rarely showing our true colors, worried about what others will think or say or do. If you are like most women, you might be afraid of being judged. But here's the truth. The truth is that people are already judging you. That's never going to change because the human brain is programmed to make judgments about everything. Judgment equals protection to your brain. Fortunately, by deciding that your opinion of you matters way more than others' opinion of you, that's when you experience true freedom. That's when you can just allow people to be wrong about you without making them wrong for having an opinion about you. And basically, they just have a human brain that has 60,000 thoughts a day, just like you. What they say and do based on those thoughts has nothing to do with you and has everything to do with their life experiences, their beliefs, and the unique filter in their brain that they use to process all those tens of thousands of thoughts. So really think about this for a second. If you didn't have blue hair, you wouldn't care if someone told you they hated your blue hair, right? Their opinion would be interesting, but it would be silly. And it wouldn't mean anything unless you made it mean something. So to handle other people's opinions of you, you just have to like your opinion of you more than you care about theirs, whether it's good or bad. So now I'm going to talk about how to handle other people's opinions of everything else. Now, although it might not be much of a consolation to remember the saying, no two minds think alike, especially when dealing with other people's opinions of everything else in the world. It really is the truth. No two minds think alike. But unfortunately, we assume that when we think thoughts, others are thinking the same thing. The analogy that I like to use is that, and I've used this before, if you put a blue chair in the middle of a room with 10 people in the room, how many chairs are there in the room? This isn't a trick question. The answer is at least 10. There's at least 10 chairs because every single person in the room is having their own unique thoughts about that chair. They like or dislike the shape. They like or dislike the color. Maybe they remember a similar chair in their friend's house, etc., etc. Whether it's who should be elected to office next, what's considered appropriate behavior during this pandemic, or whether your children should be homeschooled this year. Everyone is looking at similar situations and having very different opinions. Unfortunately, those differences in opinions are tearing apart a lot of relationships and dividing people in a world that frankly needs as much unity as possible. As intelligent women, we can conceptually understand that other people have opinions that may differ from ours, but it's often difficult for us to emotionally understand how, when we're so wrapped up in our own thoughts and the way that we see things. We can get so caught up in agreeing or disagreeing with other people's opinions that we don't stop to imagine what someone else's thoughts might be around the same subject and why. We're so busy trying to be right that we don't spend enough time trying to understand other people's opinions from a place of curiosity rather than a place of condemnation. And just as there is an origin to your opinion on things, there's also an origin to other people's opinions as well. And depending on how long and how often someone has thought a particular thought, that will determine how strong their belief has become. So in order to handle other people's opinions, I suggest that you come up with at least 3 reasons why someone might have the opinion that they have. Just like people on a debate team need to be able to present arguments from both sides of an issue and be able to articulate the opposing viewpoints, it's so helpful to ask yourself, what could someone who has a different opinion be thinking and feeling? So let me give you an example. I was speaking to a coworker recently, and she has a very strong political view. And she was sharing that she had had a big disagreement with a friend with an opposing view. She said she was considering ending the friendship since this person was, in her mind, clearly crazy based on their disagreement with her. And when I asked her to come up with 3 reasons why he may have the opinion that he has, imagining what he might be thinking and feeling that would make that opinion of his possible, I could see she literally visibly relaxed. She said to me, I imagine he loves this country as much as I do. That's number 1. Number 2, that he was raised to believe a certain way. And she thought about it and she's like, I think number 3, that he feels comfortable enough with me to express his opinion. So her brain, like all of ours, it just wanted to be right, which meant that if someone's opinion didn't match hers, then they were automatically wrong. And thankfully, with a little imagination, she was able to step into her friend's brain and envision what he might be thinking when he looked at the quote unquote blue chair in the room. Right? It doesn't matter what the topic is. By imagining what thoughts form other people's opinions and then how those thoughts probably make them feel and act, you can begin to agree to disagree, but in a more understanding way as opposed to an adversarial way. To handle other people's opinions, you just need to choose to find them interesting rather than insane or incendiary. The more you can see that your brain's need to be right is making others wrong, the easier it will be to live more peacefully. I promise you. No 2 minds think alike, and that's what makes life so interesting when you decide that it can be. In summary, whether it's someone's negative comment about a picture you posted on Facebook or it's your neighbor's political sign on their front lawn, other people's opinions are more visible than ever before. Unfortunately, so many working moms spend their lives trying to control other people's opinions of them that they lose themselves in the process. When you feel confident and show up authentically, other people's opinions of you are interesting, but not hurtful. We're so busy trying to be right that we don't spend enough time trying to understand other people's opinions from a place of curiosity rather than a place of condemnation. And finally, to handle other people's opinions, you just need to choose to find them interesting rather than insane or incendiary. All right, there you have it. That was episode number 106, how to handle other people's opinions of you and everything else. I just think, especially in the United States right now, with election day about a month away, I think that it's really important to really know where you stand is okay, and that where other people stand is okay for them, and that you can agree to disagree. But I just see that it's really tearing people apart. And I also see other people's opinions of you, because we're just so exposed to what other people think, and we're exposing ourselves for feedback and for other people's comments, that I just see, especially for young children and for teenagers at that vulnerable age where other people's opinions are just like paramount. I think that we need to help our children to see that it's so much more important for you to have a good opinion of you, and that you can be a juicy peach and people are just not going to like peaches, and that's okay. They don't have to. You need to like you. You need to have your own back. And I think if more children were taught that, and we could set the example by not letting other people's opinions of us be the be-all and end-all, then I think we'd be able to support them better as well. Because I do think that they're watching us. Even though we don't have these conversations with them, they're watching us. They're watching how we handle things. So I hope this is really helpful. And if you know anyone that could benefit from this, please share it. The podcast is on iTunes, it's on Stitcher, it's on Apple Music. You can always go to cpa-moms-coach.com. Every single podcast episode is there with all of the show notes. So there you have it. Have a great week, and I'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you like what you heard, be sure to click subscribe on your podcast app so you never miss an episode. At CPA Moms, we pride ourselves on being the e-harmony of the accounting world, making it possible for business owners to have their accounting needs met by amazing CPAs that are moms just like you. Whether you are an accountant interested in growing your own solo mompreneur business, or perhaps you are looking for flexibility to work from home, or maybe you are looking to grow your current firm or team, CPA Moms has what you are looking for. Check us out at cpa-moms.com.